Vasily Artemyev, thanks for joining us at Total Rugby. Now, anyone listening to you speak might think that you sound Irish, but you were born in Russia. Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood in Russia?
I was born in the town of Zelenograd. It's quite close to Moscow, about half an hour drive. And I was born and raised there. Obviously, all my family are from Russia. And I started playing rugby at quite a young age as well. There's a good underage kind of team in my town. So I started when I was about 9 or 10. There's a lot of other sports on offer ahead of rugby, I suppose. I was just lucky to be from the town where there was underage rugby club to join. So it's just one of those random things, to be honest, that just happened.
And what age was it that you moved to Ireland, and why did you move to Ireland?
Well, I was in equivalent of a kind of transition year in school in Russia. I didn't have any exams at the end of the year, and my parents, they wanted me to go over, to learn the language for a year. So I think that was the plan initially. So they sent me over at the age of 15. They just happened to send me to Blackrock College, and rugby turned out to be quite big over there, and I just got mixed in straight away and never really looked back. And after a year there, I really wanted to stay, and my parents didn't mind, and the school would they told me they'd love it if I stayed and continued the education there.
And next up for you was University College Dublin. How big a step up in terms of rugby and your life was that?
It was good, yeah. It was definitely another step in my rugby career, and I was for the first couple of years I was training and playing with the Leinster Academy team as well. To be honest, I played for Ireland schools. It's like a main under 18 side. Played a friendly game for under 19s as well, against Australian schools. But I couldn't go to the under 19s World Cup. I didn't qualify on the residency, so I didn't go.
And how did you end up moving back to Russia?
It's when I was finishing my university in my final year. It was in 2009, and I got a call from the manager of the Russian team, Zarek, and he'd asked me, what my plans were, and they were going for a pre-season January camp in South Africa, in Pretoria, and they'd ask me if I wanted to come along. Because it was the start of the qualification campaign for the World Cup for Russia, and I thought it was great that I'm seen by the Russian team, and I'm considered. It was something on my one of my dreams to be at the World Cup. Playing for Russia there would have been great. So, and we were still within a long shot of that dream at that point. But I thought I'd do my best helping Russia get in there. So yeah.
And you ended up playing professionally in the Russian league.
Yeah, yeah.
Could you tell me about the side you played for and a little bit about the Russian league?
I played for VVA Podmoskovia. It's a Moscow region-based club. It's the league of about 10 clubs now. 3 of them would be, high-flying clubs with a bit of funds to spend on the players and quite good facilities. The rest of the clubs would be still going through that transition from amateur to semi-pro, from semi-pro to professional. That have a little bit of funding, but just enough, just to keep them going, because it's a difficult thing to run a all Russian championship with just a sheer size of Russia. Some trips you take are about 5 hours on the plane, and it's quite costly for the team to do that on a regular basis. So yeah, I was just the VVA has been a champion, a Russian champion for 3 consecutive years at the time, and I went on to win the championship with them for the next 2 seasons as well. And the head coach of that club was the head coach Nikolai Narush of the national team as well, which helped me as well to be seen by him. So it helps in the selection. If I was playing abroad, it'd be difficult for him to make up the mind. So it helped in many ways, and it was good to be close to the family as well for once, first time in like 7 years. So I really enjoyed that time too.
And if you could equate the standard of player in the Russian league to another league, possibly, what sort of level is the rugby?
Well, if you take, as I said, one of the top 3 clubs, 2 Siberian clubs and VVA club, physically the guys would be, they'd be very strong. They'd be strong, quite big. They'd be quite good conditionally prepared as well. but the lack of the games of such high intensity as we play in Europe, in England, in the Premiership on the regular basis. They would get a few those games for the national team, and when the top three teams play against each other, they're quite a good intense games too. But just the lack of that experience on a regular basis every week, it slows down the development of the players. And of course, another thing, they know, the teams know each other way too well. They play each other every year many times, and they know exactly what the other team is going to do. So it's quite easy to adjust to it, and it's kind of stalls the development bit as well in a way.
Now, you mentioned that one of the major draws for you coming back to Russia was the fact that the World Cup was a sort of distant dream. Yeah. How was it to realise that dream?
Oh, obviously, when in the qualifying, in one of the last qualifying games, when we drew 20-0 against Romania at home in Sochi, it was and we knew we'd make it in the top two, so we'd go straight through to the World Cup. That was massive. And it only hit us, I think, a few weeks down the road that we actually done that. Because it's been a long trip. It's over 2 years. You played 10 games, and you have to finish in top two. So yeah, it was massive, huge. And that when we knew we were in the World Cup, when you're going to be New Zealand at the heart of world's rugby, that would have been a dream. From when you're growing up a young kid, and when you think rugby, you think New Zealand, and then you know that you're going to be there, and the biggest stage of the world rugby as well. So yeah, it was huge.
And even more of a fairy tale for you because you scored against Ireland.
Well, that ended up quite well, yeah. Obviously, it was just playing against Ireland. A lot of the guys that I knew that played that day, just playing against them was a great experience, I thought. But then getting a score, yeah, it was massive. It was brilliant. It was just one of the moments that you treasure for the rest of your life.
And looking back at the tournament as a whole, what do you feel were Russia's successes and failures of that tournament?
Well, from the good point of view, like from the successes point of view, I think we've shown that we can put together a few phases, and we can be quite dangerous with the ball. I think we scored a few tries against some top teams, and some tries were quite good, I think. And we just we showed that we can do something with the ball. We don't just want to kill off the game and slow the game down to our level. We want to play this high intensity game. We want to play a fascinating style of rugby. It's the negative that they set us down. Again, the lack of experience playing against sides like Ireland or Australia, which any mistake, any unforced error you make, they capitalise on it. And again, just defending against teams like Australia and Ireland as well. When they put in a few phases together, and they're running at top speeds. You knew it was always going to be difficult. So any slip up, any one defender just being out of position, they're going to punish it. They're going to spot it and punish you. So it was a good experience from that point of view. From when they exposed those weaknesses in our side, I think we can. The only thing we can do is to grow, to continue developing from that, and hopefully fix some of those errors and fix some of those areas.
And around the same time as the World Cup, you became the first Russian to sign for an English side. How did that come about?
I got in touch with Saints through my agent Carl, that I knew from Ireland. He knew I was looking for a club. I wanted to play. I always wanted. It was my dream to play somewhere in Europe in top competition. So he got in touch with me. They said that Saints were interested. I think that was around kind of March, February of that year, pre-World Cup year. And yeah, around that time I signed for them, and I didn't really want to position myself any different from any other player, so I knew I'd have to prove myself on the field, what I'm worth. So I was glad, I was really happy that Northampton saw something in me, and they gave me this opportunity. So I wanted to, to show them that I want to use it, and I want to make something out of it. And yeah, all my games that I've played here this year, every game I wanted to prove, that I'm worthy being up here and playing for the Saints.